Pretty well 3/4 of them didn't have any weapons training. They might have had a few, hours on a Bren gun, but they were very, very green units. And there's a lot of controversy about sending those guys over who had absolutely no formal training to fight the very experienced Japanese soldiers. But they went, and it's really quite enlightening when you go there to see that there was a lot of blood loss by the Canadians there in Hong Kong, and it's really sad that they don't get the as much of the accolades as the Europeans, and obviously the Canadians in Europe deserve a huge thing, but so do the Canadians in the Far East. So that's why I'm doing this. If you, it's just going to be a bit of the geography. This is Hong Kong Island, okay? And if you haven't been to Hong Kong, this is Kowloon. So Hong Kong is divided into the mainland up here, which is the new territories. This is Kowloon, and this is Hong Kong Island, okay? And the Japanese basically came from the north. And as they started winding their way down and pushing the defenders, so you'd have the Indian troops, the Rajputs and the Punjabis, they were there defending up in the new territories. And then you had the Winnipeg Rifles and the Royal Scots down on the southern end of the island defending the south. They didn't know which direction the Japanese were coming from, much like Singapore. But they came from the north, and these are the arrows coming down. I'm not going to talk about the resistance up there. For people who know the battle, that's they formed a battle line called the Gin Drinkers Line, where they pretty well resisted the Japanese to some degree until they were pushed back through Kowloon, and the remnants moved down into Hong Kong Island. I'm going to focus on the middle of Hong Kong Island. And if you haven't been to Hong Kong, it's called the Wong Nai Chung Gap. And why is that significant? Hong Kong Island is mountains. And whoever controlled the gap controlled the island, because there was a pass through there. So if you control the gap, you can move your supplies. You see what I mean? So everything was about getting that objective in the gap. And so when I went there, I did most of my stuff up here in the mountains. Okay? If you go, let me know, because I can hook you up with the tour guide. There's only one tour guide that does as far as I know, and he's really good. And I'll post it up on his name is Martin Hayes, and he gave us the tour. He's an expat and a police officer, ex-police officer there, working with the Hong Kong police going back to the 70s. He knows his stuff. So he took my wife and I up and into the gap area, and I'll just show you a few photos of the battle sites. Unfortunately, the battle sites are not well marked. In fact, there's a lot of controversy that the plaques are kind of falling in disrepair. And they're not in any tourist books, so you got to look for them. This is an abandoned ammunition storage for anti-aircraft guns. It's a Canadian bunker, and you can go in it. There's nothing in there, but it's in the bush. And they used to store all of the ammunition there for their anti-aircraft positions on the island. Okay, moving right along. These are basically Japanese troops. See, these are the Canadian anti-aircraft guns. So that building you saw was just down the road, and they overtook this position, these are the mountains in Hong Kong, right? So you're going to see a couple of photos of this gun position and what it looks like now. Those Japanese troops you saw were running up here, and that's what's left of it. So the guns are obviously all gone, but it's just fascinating to see because they've kind of left it the way it is. There's no brochures, there's nothing there. There may be a few markers, but the only way you're going to see them is you get the guide to go up there and show you what they are. I've got a lot more on it, but I didn't want to bore you because I took, like after the battle, before and after. I've got a couple other photos kind of related. Sorry, they're all over the place. This is the remnants of the Hong Kong, Central Hong Kong Police Station, where the Kempeitai, the Japanese military police, had their headquarters, and they housed the POWs. And this is the inside compound of the wall. This is right in Hong Kong, right on the main causeway, just up a bit. And there's a bit of history around there, but this is basically the prison yard where they held all the POWs after the battle. That's one of the original prison houses where they have cells in there that they had the POWs. And if you go in there, you can see all the cells, which is kind of cool. It's now it's kind of like a distillery district there. There's tons of restaurants. They've really done a nice job renovating it. They've got these neat little displays of how the prisoners lived, and the kids go in there and they do these little activities, which is a bit odd, right? Because the activities around starvation, beating, and and the kids get to choose how many times did the guy get beaten? Choose A for 10, B for 20, stuff like that. I'm exaggerating, but that's another shot of a wall, and they built around it, right? Now I'm going to go back to, that's Osborne. So that's John Osborne. Does anybody know, everyone knows who John Osborne is?
I don't know.
He's the VC winner, Victoria Cross. Was the only soldier to win the VC in the Battle of Hong Kong. In fact, I think in the Pacific, outside of Gray, right? He won it at Hong Kong. But I'll show you where he won his VC.
What about Cornell?
Sorry?
The guy who saved Ceylon.
Yes, yep. I'm just thinking of Canadian. But correct me if I'm
He
wrong.
won a VC for it.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's Canadian. Was he?
I think he was.
Yeah, yes, but he's a different side of the ocean.
Yeah.
Oh, Ceylon is where India,
Yeah.
so it's Pacific.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka.
The other side of it. This is a tea museum now, and it was the headquarters of the British Army in Hong Kong. It's a very nice place to visit.
Where was that?
That's right in the Causeway, right in the Causeway Bay, and it's now the Royal Tea House.
What district is it?
Causeway Bay, right on the island, the north
Yeah,
part.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the lobby where they signed the surrender of Allied forces to the Japanese. This is in a hotel. That's the back end of, I'm sorry, it's all over the place, of the Tea Museum of the buildings of the British Army headquarters. That's another building which I was told by a local guide, that was the former, the Japanese took it over as their Kempitai headquarters. It kind of looks like the Kempitai headquarters, right, where they did their interrogations. Peninsula Hotel, sorry, the lobby that I showed you, that's where they signed the Allied surrender to the Japanese. They signed it in the hotel. And it's still a beautiful hotel. That's the lobby where they signed it. Now back to a couple of things on the Wong China, the Gap. This picture for you. It just looks like a bowling. What is it? Grass bowling. Lawn bowling. Thanks. What the Japanese they pushed the Canadians back to one central last stand, kind of like Custer's Hill. And the Canadians were basically where I am, looking that way. The Japanese had done several bonsai charges across this field to try to take. Well, I'll show you in a sec. The bunker, the Canadian West Brigade bunkers were where I'm standing here on the street, and they were basically last-ditch defense. If you know of Brigadier Lawson, he was the commander, the CO of the infantry regiments in Hong Kong. He didn't get a VC, but he basically did the last stand, and it's very famous. He phones up his CO, and he says, Japanese are coming close, I'm just going to go out and give them a fight. And he just went out there and he got mowed down. And so it's all on the plaque there, but a lot of people just don't know that history. This is the bunker, and it's in the middle of the side of the highway, and it's marked, but nobody goes there. And it's really too bad, because you go up there and go, oh, that's a bunker. And these are obviously machine gun bullets in the side of the bunker, Japanese machine gun rounds. That's the bunker, the field, the long bowling's over here. This is the West Brigade bunker, what's left of it. If you drive by the highway in Central through the Gap, you'll see it as you drive by, but again, there's no signs. It's right beside an Esso station. The bunker's here, and then there's a little wall here, which was, I guess, a blast wall. And this part's fake, they filled it up, but you can see a couple of closer pictures when you go in there. Right? You can go in. There's nobody protecting it. The doors are open. Inside are, you can see some old busted up tables. There's some beds in there with bed springs. There's corrugated metal. It's just kind of like all over the place. Right? There's a little sign there that says, please don't litter or something like that. See inside? You can see bed springs and ladders and stuff. There were 3 bunkers side by side. Okay. And again, the controversy is that nobody knows about them, they're not in tourist books, and it's not well kept. They're just kind of rotting away. Another picture of the bunker. Please cherish this graded historic building, no graffiti or littering. That's it.
Is that a
It's a
direct
try.
translation?
It's trying. Okay, another shot of the bunker. So Lawson basically came out here and started firing, and he got killed around here. There's this plaque's dedicated to, see the writings a little. Brigade Headquarters, Canadian Sea Force, morning of December 19th, invading Japanese forces advance on this position where Canadian Brigadier John Lawson commanded the West Brigade from a bunker dug into the hillside. Attempts to reinforce the area failed. Refusing to withdraw, the bunker was overrun. His last words over the telephone was he was going out to fight it out, and in doing so, he lost his life. So, you know, it's a tiny little plaque on the side of the highway. That's the Canadian plaque that they put there like 30 years ago, and it's kind of dirty. But that's it. This is a burial site for in the bush, a Japanese mass burial site. The guy told me there's probably about 200 Japanese soldiers here. The burial pit's probably maybe the size of this area, so they just probably, I don't know why they didn't give them their own soldiers because they won, but apparently they just buried them in this mass grave. There's littered bullets, helmet stuff that's all over the place here. I didn't touch any of it. You can see there's little sake bottles of the families going in to offer. It's deep in the bush though, so you have to climb over some brush to get into the, and you can't really tell. I mean, the only way you can tell is the guide's telling you that it's, but there's offerings and stuff all over the place. They haven't dug it up, right? Because they just leave it. That site is up here somewhere, so you have to climb up there to get it. This is Sir Cecil's Ride. It's the old 1930s. They had a reservoir there, and it was built by the British, and the Japanese troops used it as an advance running up the line. But it was so obvious that the Canadian gunners on the two pillboxes just mowed them down when they got to this point. That's why they have the burial pit. That's just a view of Hong Kong from the Gap. I'm going to skip a few to get to the bunker positions. So there's two bunker positions up there, one up high and one low, and they're situated so they have mutual covering fire. Now the thing to note back in 41 is this is all barren. There's no trees, there's no bushes, it's all barren. So the Japanese were just doing charges up the hill, the Canadians were fighting with mostly grenades and then hand to head. So there was no bush. Excellent fields of fire for mutual cover of the bunker positions. These were built from concrete, reinforced concrete. The only, one of the reasons that they lost quickly here was they had vents at the top, and the Japanese tossed a couple of grenades in there. Lawson was killed jumping on a grenade. That's how he won his VC.
No, Osborne.
Osborne, sorry, Osborne, yeah, sorry. And it was not far from this bunker position. These are just shots around the bunker, right? You can go inside, but it's kind of, it's not much to see inside. See the top there? That's the vent. That's they covered up the door, but there's another little slot of, you can get in through one of the gun positions, okay? And you know, nobody, it's people who go there might look at it, but there's, again, it's kind of, you gotta, it's hard to get to. That's me reading a map. I don't know what I'm doing. Side of the bunker. So this is a deep hill. Like, it's looking way down. And when the Japanese attacked, they didn't come up this way. They came down this way. And but it was all open. Imagine, like, have you ever seen that movie? What's the movie where they Guadalcanal and they're fighting? It's a new movie with all the geographic vegetation. What's the
Pacific?
Yeah, no, the
Thin Red Line.
Thin Red Line.
Oh, yeah.
You know, remember the Americans were attacking that Japanese bunker position? Well, they interviewed some veterans, and they said, not quite, because there wasn't that tall elephant grass that they could hide under. It was open. So you can imagine, like, attacking a position with no, like, you think, yeah, there's lots of bush. Not back then, there wasn't.
So who planted all the foliage?
After the war, it just grew, and they just, you know. This is their line of attack, and that was a garden, apparently, by some colonial, you know, another angle of it. and all ended. There's a nice shot. By the way, there's all sorts of stuff around the pillbox as well. Metal, bits, probably ammo rounds, stuff like that. To be honest, the tour guide, because it's all over the floor, he said, "Yeah, Harvey, take, because there's tons of it." He gave me a piece of the ring that comes out of the. Right? But he said, "Take it." So. Yeah, really.
Is that the guide?
That's the guide. Yeah, that's just a picture of the. Again, it was all open. Was there anything else I want to show you? I think. Oh, this. A lot of people think it was only Canadians defending. Hong Kong had a volunteer defense corps made up of Chinese. Most of these guys died. Pretty well all of them defending because they're from Hong Kong, right? So these guys were defending with the Winnipeg Grenadiers and the Royal Scots. And apparently, when they were defending the two pillbox positions, out of all these guys, they only had like I think 6 light machine guns, 1 submachine gun. The rest were pistols and small arms, and they had a box of grenades. And the Japanese had everything, right? So kind of like the last stand. Again, nobody reads about it. That's it's your Cecil's ride. The Japanese ran along this way, and that's when they got killed. And this is looking down at the Gap. The Gap is right here. See the bus going through the Gap?
The Victoria Peak.
Yep, up there. West Brigade is somewhere over here. There's the lawn bowling. The Japanese overrun these pillbox positions, come down, and they take the headquarters, and that's it. They surrendered on December 5th, 1941. That's it for me.
December the 5th.
Well done.
December 25th.